Welcome back to Life's Children. My name is Avital, and this week's Parshat is Parshat Shelach. And Parshat Shelach actually tells a story which is quite well known about the spies that were sent into the land of Israel, at that point the land of Canaan, in order to scope out the land to see if the land was good, to see what kind of produce was growing, to see what the inhabitants were like. There were 12 men who went into the land of Canaan while the Jews were in the desert in order to scope out the land. And they were appointed, they were the head of their tribes. These were great men of distinction who were appointed by Moses to go out and to see about the land and to bring back a report to Moses and to Aaron. So these 12 men, they go into the land of Israel and they come back after 40 days with their report, and they share their report not only with Moses and Aaron, but with all of the Jewish people. And what they say is, yes, the land of Israel, again at this time the land of Canaan, it flows with milk and honey. That is true. But they go on to say that the people that dwelt in the land are powerful. The cities are fortified and very great. And we also saw there the offspring of the giants. And then they go on to list the nations that are dwelling there and the different positions in which these nations are dwelling. So of these 12 men, there was 2 of them who didn't partake in this report. One of them was Joshua, who went on to succeed Moses, and the other one was Caleb. And Caleb, after hearing this, what the other sort of 10 men had just said, he says, "We shall surely ascend and conquer it, for we surely can do it." So he didn't quite have the same feelings that his brethren had about what happened in the land of Israel. But the other 10 men who went into the land, they responded to Caleb by saying, "We cannot ascend to that people, for it is too strong for us. It is a land that devours its inhabitants. All the people there we saw in it were huge. There we saw the Nephilim." The Nephilim were told to be, the commentators believe that they were the children of giants. They were the children of angels. That's kind of how it's interpreted. And then it continues by saying, "We were like grasshoppers in our eyes, and so we were in their eyes." So then the Jewish people, after hearing this report, say, "If only we had died in the land of Egypt, and if we only had died in the wilderness. Is it not better for us to return to Egypt? Let us appoint a leader and let us return to Egypt." So this is a very interesting story. There's a lot going on here. We see 10 of the leaders sent into the land of Israel come back with this negative report full of fear, saying that it would be impossible to conquer them. They're so big, we are so small, we cannot possibly conquer them. The land is full of these giants and these great nations, and who are we? They come back like that. And then we have Caleb, who stands out and says, "No, we can do it." And then they respond, "No, we can't do it." And then the Jewish people repeating in their coming back, chiming in as they often do, would have been better off in Egypt. Why did you take us out of Egypt? At least in Egypt we had X, Y, and Z, and here you would bring us to die. It continues to be their trope. But what 2 things in particular stood out to me from this, 2 lessons that we can really take away. The first was really related to this line, "We were like grasshoppers in our eyes, and so we were in their eyes." So what that means to me is that these leaders went into the land and they felt inferior. They felt small. And they projected that off to the other nations and to the other people that were in the land. And so that's why it says we were like grasshoppers in our eyes, so we were in their eyes, meaning because they saw themselves as small and they projected that energy of being inferior, so they were received by the inhabitants of the land as being small, as being inferior. It was the Jewish people's own fault in a sense. They came in, again, with this lack of self-confidence, this lack of their ability to do something, and so that's how they were perceived and how others went on to treat them. If they had gone into the land and said, "Yeah, the people are big, but we're bigger and we can take them on and we can conquer them," and they came in and projected confidence, don't you think the people in the land would have been afraid of them? Don't you think it would have been they were like grasshoppers. It's all a matter of perspective and all a matter of the confidence that they give off. So I really think that there are two lessons we can take away from this incident. One is that we need to have self-confidence, that we need to be able to act, even if we don't feel it, we need to be able to act like we are confident, act like we're capable, act like we can do things that we're not sure if we can do or not. Not to go off and be haughty, but to be confident in ourselves and in our abilities, even to project that, even if we haven't internalized it yet, so that other people will receive us as saying they have confidence, they know what they're doing, they're capable. Because it's clear from this interaction, again, of we were grasshoppers in our eyes, so we were in their eyes, that what the energy we give off to people is how they're going to perceive us. So again, we need to push off that, sort of bring out into the world our self-confidence so that other people will take us in as confident people. And the second real takeaway is not to let our lives be dictated by fear. Because here, again, the Jewish people are like, let us go back to Egypt. Let us have a leader take us back to Egypt. They wanted to know there was comfort in what they knew. Yeah, the Egyptians were killing their children. Yeah, they weren't in charge of their own time. Yes, it was backbreaking labor. But it was the poison they knew versus the poison they didn't know, right? They knew Egypt. They knew what that looked like. And they were so incredibly afraid of the unknown. They were so incredibly afraid of what might be awaiting them in the land of Israel, this promised land. They were so afraid to the extent that they let it dictate their lives and saying, let us go back to being slaves rather than being free, because at least we know what that's like. And at least there's security in that. We go into the land of Israel, and who knows what's going to be there for us. They were letting fear drive their lives and dictate their lives and what they were going to do, rather than having faith and having trust that things are going to work out and going into that unknown. So again, the two main takeaways I got from this week's Parsha are to have and to project self-confidence, and to just not to doubt ourselves and our abilities, and to not let fear dictate our lives and our decisions, and not to be afraid of the unknown. So those are some really big lessons from this week's Parsha that I hope we can all learn from. I wish you all a wonderful week and a Shabbat Shalom, and I look forward to speaking with you next time.